Confidence ain't something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, day by day. When the world tells you no, when the mirror lies to you, when you feel like you ain't good enough, that's when confidence is forget see. Most people wait for permission to believe in themselves. They wait for the applause. They wait for someone to tell them they're enough. But let me tell you something. You don't need permission. You need a decisi on you want unbreakable confidence. Then you better be ready to go through something. Because confidence is not built in comfort. It's built in chaos, in silence. In struggling today, I'm gonna show you how to build the confidence that can't be shaken, that can't be broken, that can't be taken. Confidence is built, not born. That's the truth most people don't want to hear because it means responsibility. It means you can't just sit around and wait for confidence to show up. You have to go out and create it. Nobody is born with uncheckable self-belief. Even the most successful, powerful people you admire started somewhere. And where they started looked a lot like where you are right now, uncertain, unsure, questioning if they had what it takes. The difference is, they didn't wait for confidence. They built it when you were a baby. You didn't know how to walk. You didn't come out the womb confident in your steps. You fell, over and over again. But you kept getting back up. And eventually, you walked, then you ran. And now, walking is second nature. You don't even think about it. That's how confidence works. It's the result of consistent, deliberate action over time. You build it through doing, failing, adjusting, and doing. Again, you earn it, but somewhere along the way, people stop doing the thing that builds confidence. They start listening to voices, the ones inside and outside, that say, you can't. They start believing that if they're not confident right now, they never will be. But confidence is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it weakens. If you avoid challenges, your belief in yourself fades. But if you step into discomfort, if you take small, intentional steps toward your goals every day, that muscle grows, slowly at first, then stronger, then unbreakable. Think about the gym. Nobody walks in on day one and bench presses 300 pounds. You start small. You struggle. You maybe feel embarrassed, but you show up again. You push yourself, and your body adapts. Confidence is no different. You have to train it. You have to break through resistance, and the resistance is real. It comes in the form of fear, self-doubt, comparison, insecurity. But that resistance isn't there to stop you. It's there to make you stronger. It's part of the process. People want to feel confident before they act. That's backwards. You don't wait to feel ready. You act, and then confidence shows up. You take the shot. You stand up and speak. You do the thing you're scared of. And afterward, whether you succeed or fail, you realize you survived. You grew. And next time, you walk into that moment just a little taller, a little stronger. That's how confidence is built. You earn it through action, not thought. Some people think confidence about ego. It's not. Ego is loud. Ego is fragile. Confidence is quiet. Confidence is solid. Real confidence doesn't need to prove itself. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. That's it. It's not about winning every time. It's about knowing you have the resilience to keep going, even when you lose. And that kind of confidence only comes from putting yourself in situations where you have to rise, where you have to dig deep and figure it out. That's the forge where belief in yourself is created. You've got to stop looking at other people and thinking they have something you don't. They don't. They just built it. They put in the reps. They did it scared. They showed up when it wasn't convenient. They kept going after they fell flat on their face. You don't see that part, you only see the highlight reel. But behind every confident person is a messy, gritty process full of doubt and struggle and quiet victories that nobody applauded. That's where it happens. That's where you will build your confidence to understand this. Every time you avoid the hard thing, the uncomfortable conversation, the big move, you reinforce the idea that you're not capable. You teach yourself to retreat. But every time you step up, even when your voice shakes, even when your hands tremble, you send a different message. You say, I trust myself, and over time, that voice gets louder. That trust grows. That belief becomes unbreakable. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to take the first step. You don't build confidence in theory, you build it in motion. When you take action in the face of fear, you become stronger than the fear. When you do the thing anyway, you take power away from doubt. Confidence doesn't come from perfection, it comes from progress, from effort, from discipline, from consistency. You want confidence? Then you better be ready to work. Your self-talk defines your self-worth. The way you speak to yourself every single day, the words you use, the thoughts you let run through your mind, will determine how you feel about yourself and the world around you. And yet, many people allow negative self-talk to run wild without even realizing the damage it's doing. The things you tell yourself matter more than you can imagine. You could be your own worst enemy without even knowing it, sabotaging your potential by repeating lies you've internalized from years of conditioning, past failures, or others' opinions. But what if you flipped the script? What if you started using your words to lift yourself up, to empower your journey, and to ignite the fire of confidence within? The way you talk to yourself is the foundation of how you see yourself. Think about the last time you faced a challenge or setback. What did you say to yourself? Did you say, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be able to do this? Or did you say, I've been through worse, and I can handle this, or I'll learn and grow from this experience? The truth is, your internal dialogue is constantly shaping your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately, your reality. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not enough, that you're too weak, that you're not smart enough, you're reinforcing those ideas. You're training your brain to believe them, and with time, they become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why so many people struggle with confidence. They've been telling themselves for years that they don't have what it takes. But here's the thing: you have the power to change that narrative. It starts by becoming aware of your thoughts. Most people live in autopilot, not realizing how often they put themselves down or assume the worst. Every time you think you can't do something, every time you doubt yourself, that's a signal that you need to challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this a fact? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? The moment you question your negative thoughts, you begin to take control. Instead of letting fear dictate your next move, you're able to make a conscious decision about how to proceed. Changing your self-talk in something that happens overnight. It's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing practice. But it's one of the most powerful tools you have. Start by replacing negative thoughts with affirmations of strength, capability, and belief. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, say, I'm growing and improving every day. Instead of saying, this is too hard for me, say, I am strong enough to handle this challenge. When you consciously choose empowering thoughts, you rewire your brain. You train it to believe in your potential, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Language you use matters even when you're not consciously thinking about it. For example, notice how you speak about your goals. Do you say, "I'll try to do this," or do you say, "I'm going to make this happen"? Oh, the difference may seem subtle, but it's huge. When you say, "I'll try," you're already preparing for failure. You're leaving room for doubt. But when you say, "I'm going to," you're making a declaration. You're setting an intention that you will act no matter what. That's the kind of self-talk that fuels confidence because it shifts your mindset from one of hesitation to one of certainty. Self-talk also shapes how you react when things don't go as planned. We all face setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. It's a natural part of life. But how you handle those moments is a direct reflection of the way you talk to yourself. If you've been telling yourself that failure is a part of success, that mistakes are opportunities for growth, then when you fall short, you're able to pick yourself up with grace and continue moving forward. But if you've been telling yourself that failure means you're not good enough, then every misstep will feel like a confirmation of your inadequacy. And you start speaking to yourself with kindness and encouragement. You begin to see yourself through a new lens. You begin to realize that you are capable of far more than you thought. You start to believe that even in the face of challenges, you have the power to adapt, to learn, and to grow. This belief in yourself is the key to unbreakable self-confidence. And here's something else to remember. Your self-talk doesn't just affect you. It affects how you show up in the world. People can sense when you have confidence, when you believe in yourself. They can tell when you walk into a room with the energy that says, "I know who I am, and I know what I'm capable of." That energy doesn't just come from external validation. It comes from the words you speak to yourself every day. Your inner dialogue sets the tone for how you interact with others and how you handle the opportunities that come your way. Changing your self-talk is a practice that takes time, but it is the cornerstone of building lasting confidence. The words you speak to yourself today will create the person you are tomorrow. So, start paying attention to the things you tell yourself. Start shifting your language, because every word, every thought, every affirmation is one step closer to the unshakable confidence you've always wanted. Repetition creates identity. The actions you take over and over again, the thoughts you reinforce day after day, they define who you are and what you're capable of. Your identity isn't something that's fixed. It's shaped by the things you do repeatedly, the habits you form, and the beliefs you solidify through consistent action. If you want to become confident, you have to understand that confidence is not a singular event, it's a process. And that process is built through repetition. Think about the small things you do every day. Those seemingly insignificant actions are building your character, your skill set, and your self-belief. You may not notice it immediately, but every time you show up, every time you put in the work, you're reinforcing the person you want to be. It's like training a muscle. You don't see the progress after one workout, but after weeks, months, and years of consistent effort, the results become undeniable. Confidence works the same way. Too often, people get discouraged because they expect quick results. They think that if they do something once or twice, they should feel confident. But that's not how it works. The key to unshakable confidence is repetition. The more you do something, the more you internalize the belief that you are capable of doing it. Every time you take action toward your goal, you are strengthening your sense of self-worth. Every time you face a fear, every time you push past doubt, you are reinforcing the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. When you repeat a task, especially one that challenges you, you start to create a pattern. Your brain begins to connect those actions to your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable, someone who faces challenges head-on, someone who gets results. This is the power of repetition. It's not just about performing a task, it's about embedding it into your self-image. And that's what creates lasting confidence. About repetition doesn't just apply to the things you do physically, it applies to the way you think and speak to yourself as well. Just like how you can build your physical skills through repeated action, you can build your mental and emotional strength through repeated thoughts. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, you're repeating a belief that will shape your identity. On the flip side, if you tell yourself that you are capable, that you can handle challenges, that you are worthy of success, those thoughts will reinforce a more confident, resilient version of you. This is why mindset is so important. Confidence is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about consistently showing up as the best version of yourself, even when you don't feel like it, even when doubt creeps in, even when the world tells you no. Confidence comes from the knowledge that you've faced difficulty before, and you survived, and you'll survive again. It's the muscle memory of overcoming challenges and pushing through discomfort. Repetition is also key when it comes to building positive habits. You can't expect to develop confidence without first developing the habits that support it. Confidence doesn't just come from wishing for it or hoping for it, it comes from putting in the work, day in and day out. This means doing the things that build your self-esteem, even when you don't feel like it, whether that's practicing a skill, exercising, speaking positively to yourself, or doing the work even when it feels tough. It's all about building those habits that align with the person you want to become. The same goes for confidence in social settings or public speaking. If you're afraid of talking to strangers or speaking in front of a crowd, you won't develop confidence by avoiding those situations. You need to put yourself in them repeatedly. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. You may stumble. You may not get the result you hoped for. But as you continue to show up, you'll notice something powerful happen. You start to feel more at ease. You begin to recognize that you've faced this challenge before and survived it. With each experience, you become more confident, and that's the beauty of repetition. It's a cycle. The more you practice, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more you're willing to practice. This is the difference between people who achieve great things and those who never reach their full potential. The successful ones don't quit because they aren't instantly good at something. They keep doing it because they know that confidence is not about being perfect, it's about persistence. It's about continuing to put in the work, even when the progress is slow or hard to see, because eventually, all that repetition adds up, and it starts to show in the results. Embrace failure as fuel. Failure is one of the most powerful tools you have in your journey toward unbreakable self-confidence. To many people, fear failure because they see it as a reflection of their inadequacy, as proof that they're not good enough or that they'll never succeed. But the truth is, failure is not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. It's a part of the process, and it's an essential ingredient in building the kind of confidence that can withstand anything life throws at you. If you want to develop unshakable confidence, you have to stop running from failure and start using it as fuel for growth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. Without failure, you can't grow. Without failure, you don't learn. Every time you fail, you gain valuable insight into what works and what doesn't. You get clear about what needs to change, what needs to be improved, and where you need to adjust your approach. If you never fail, you never have the opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to get better. And it's through that process of learning and adapting that confidence is built on. Of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that failure is permanent. They think that one setback defines them, that one mistake means they'll never be good enough or capable enough to achieve their goals. But failure is never permanent, it's simply a temporary part of the journey. Every successful person you admire has failed countless times. In fact, they've failed far more than you probably realize. The difference is, they didn't let those failures define them. They didn't let those setbacks stop them from moving forward. Instead, they used each failure as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve. They understood that failure was not a reflection of their worth, it was an opportunity to get better. The key to embracing failure is shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing failure as something negative, see it as a gift. When you fail, you're not losing, you're gaining. You're gaining experience, knowledge, and resilience. You're learning what doesn't work, and that brings you one step closer to finding what does. If you look at failure from this perspective, it stops being something to fear and becomes something to celebrate. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to the person you want to be. Every time you fail, you're proving to yourself that you have the courage to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep growing. But embracing failure doesn't mean you should be reckless or careless in your actions. It means that you're willing to take calculated risks, knowing that failure is a possibility but not letting it paralyze you. It means that you're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone, to try new things, and to push past your limits. It means you're willing to fail with purpose because you understand that failing is simply a step in the process of becoming better. You have to be willing to fail if you want to succeed. And in order to do that, you need to shift your perspective on failure. Stop seeing it as something that diminishes you and start seeing it as something that empowers you. Every time you fail, you build resilience. Every time you fail, you prove to yourself that you can handle adversity. Every time you fail, you build confidence. The more failures you face, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable of overcoming anything. And that's the kind of confidence that will carry you through life's toughest challenge. Another important thing to understand about failure is that it's rarely as bad as it seems in the moment. When you're in the midst of a failure, it can feel like the end of the world. You might feel embarrassed, ashamed, or like you've lost everything. But when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you realize that failure is often just a bump in the road. It's rarely as catastrophic as we make it out to be in our minds. And even when it does feel significant, you have the power to bounce back stronger than ever. Failure doesn't have to be the end of your journey. In fact, it can be the catalyst for your greatest breakthrough. Think about the times in your life when you've experienced setbacks. Sure, they may have been tough in the moment, but did you not come out the other side stronger? Did you not learn valuable lessons that you wouldn't have learned otherwise? In fact, some of the greatest achievements and successes come as a result of overcoming failure. If you look closely at any success story, you'll find a trail of failures behind it. And it's those failures that provided the lessons and the resilience needed to achieve greatness. So, the next time you face failure, don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't let it defeat you. Instead, embrace it. Use it as fuel. Let it drive you to keep going, to keep improving, and to keep growing. Understand that failure is not the end, it's a stepping stone towards success. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to become more resilient. And each time you embrace failure as fuel, you build the kind of confidence that is unbreakable, the kind of confidence that will carry you through anything life throws your way. Keep promises to yourself. This is one of the most powerful habits you can develop in your journey to building unbreakable self-confidence. The promises you make to others are important, but the promises you make to yourself are even more crucial. The reason, when you keep your promises to yourself, you build trust. And trust is the foundation of confidence. If you can't trust yourself to follow through on the things you say you're going to do, then how can you expect to trust yourself when things get tough? How can you believe in your ability to succeed if you constantly break the promises you make to yourself every time you commit to something and follow through? You reinforce the belief that you are capable. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you can depend on yourself, and that your word means something. This builds confidence in a way that nothing else can. When you say, "I'm going to do this," and you actually do it, you send a clear message to your mind: I can do this. I have the discipline and the determination to follow through. This repeated behavior creates a cycle of success. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you trust your own abilities, and the more confident you become. Here's the thing. Keeping promises to yourself ain't always easy. It requires discipline, focus, and the ability to follow through even when you don't feel like it. It requires you to take ownership of your actions and to recognize that your success or failure is ultimately in your hands. When you make a promise to yourself, it's not about motivation, it's about commitment. Motivation will come and go, but commitment is what keeps you going when the excitement fades. When you make a promise to yourself, it's not just about feeling good in the moment, it's about showing up for your future self. It's about doing what you know you need to do, even when you don't want to. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with self-confidence is because they're constantly breaking promises to themselves. Maybe you've told yourself that you're going to work out every day, but then you skip a day, then another, then another. Maybe you've promised yourself that you'll stop procrastinating, but you find yourself pushing things off until the last minute. These small broken promises may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they add up. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your trust in yourself. You tell yourself that you can't be relied upon, that you're not capable of following through. And with each broken promise, your confidence takes a hit, but the reverse is also true. When you start keeping the promises you make to yourself, you begin to rebuild that trust. You start to believe in your own words. You start to believe that you are someone who gets things done, that you are someone who can rely on themselves to follow through. Every small victory, every promise kept, no matter how small, builds your confidence. It's the little things that matter. It's the times you commit to getting up early to work on your goals, the times you follow through with the tasks you've set for yourself, the times you push through discomfort to get things done. These are the moments that shape your identity and build your confidence. Keeping promises to yourself also means holding yourself accountable. It's easy to make excuses and justify why you can't do something, but when you take full responsibility for your actions, you stop blaming external factors, you stop making excuses, and you start owning your choices. This kind of accountability is empowering. It's saying, I'm in control of my life. I can choose to show up and make things happen. When you take responsibility for your actions and follow through on your promises, you become someone who is reliable not just to others, but to yourself. This reliability is what breeds confidence a bit sometimes. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of breaking promises to yourself without realizing it. We set goals and intentions, but life gets in the way, and we let those promises slip. That's when self-compassion becomes crucial. You're going to slip up. You're going to fail sometimes, and that's okay. What matters is how you respond. When you break a promise to yourself, don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge it, learn from it, and commit to doing better next time. The key is to get back on track as soon as possible. Every time you get back up, you send the message that you're serious about building the life you want. You show yourself that you can overcome setbacks and stay committed to your goals. Keeping promises to yourself also means being realistic. It's easy to overcome it, to set goals that are too big or too overwhelming. This can lead to disappointment when you inevitably fall short. Instead, break your promises down into smaller, more manageable tasks. Start with small commitments that you can easily follow through on, and gradually increase the difficulty as you build confidence. By making promises that you know you can keep, you set yourself up for success, and each promise you keep reinforces your belief in your own abilities at the end of the day. Your confidence is directly tied to your ability to trust yourself. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you build that trust. And the more you build that trust, the more confident you become. It's a simple but powerful cycle. Keep your promises, build trust, gain confidence. When you honor your word, you create a strong foundation for success. And when you have that foundation, you can take on anything that comes your way. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you create by keeping the promises you make to yourself.